The peaceful delegation, the message arrived on a Tuesday morning, transmitted across impossible distances through quantum channels that Earth's scientists barely understood. It was beautiful in its simplicity, elegant in its construction, and terrifying in its implications. Humanity was no longer alone. The transmission originated from the Catherian Empire, a civilization that controlled 17 star systems in the outer spiral arm. Their message was diplomatic, refined, and spoke of peaceful intentions. They had observed Earth's rapid technological advancement and wished to establish formal relations. A meeting was proposed at the neutral coordinates they provided, a dead system between their territory and Earth's solar frontier. In the gleaming towers of Geneva, the United Earth Council convened an emergency session. President Elena Vasquez stood before the assembly, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. The chamber buzzed with excitement and nervous energy as representatives from every nation debated humanity's response. "This is our moment," declared Dr. James Wright, Earth's leading xenobiologist. "We've dreamed of this day for centuries. We must respond with wisdom and hope." The decision was unanimous. Earth would send a peaceful delegation aboard the civilian vessel Harmony, a state-of-the-art diplomatic ship designed for exactly this purpose. The ship gleamed white and silver, its hull decorated with symbols of peace from every Earth culture. No weapons adorned its frame, no military insignia marked its purpose. It was meant to represent humanity at its most noble dot. Captain Sarah Chen accepted command of the mission with both pride and trepidation. A veteran of deep space exploration, she had spent her career pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. Now she would push the boundaries of human contact. Her crew consisted of Earth's finest diplomats, scientists, linguists, and cultural experts. Ambassador David Rodriguez would lead the negotiations, his decades of experience in international diplomacy serving as humanity's voice. Dr. Lisa Park, a brilliant xenopsychologist, would attempt to understand alien thinking patterns. The ship's AI, designated ADM, contained every piece of human knowledge, art, music, and literature, ready to share humanity's cultural treasures. As Harmony departed Earth's orbital stations, millions watched the live stream with bated breath. Children pressed their faces against windows. Elderly couples held hands in wonder, and world leaders offered prayers for success. This was humanity's debut on the galactic stage. The journey took 3 weeks through hyperspace, each jump bringing them closer to first contact. The crew used the time to prepare extensively, studying every aspect of Catherian culture they could glean from the transmission. They practiced greeting protocols, prepared cultural exchange gifts, and rehearsed diplomatic procedures until they could perform them flawlessly. Captain Chen stood on the bridge as they approached the meeting coordinates, watching the stars wheel slowly past the view. The system was indeed dead, containing only a few barren planets orbiting a dim red dwarf. It seemed an odd choice for such a momentous meeting, but she assumed the Cathari preferred neutral ground. Unknown to Chen and her crew, other preparations had been made. Deep in the military complexes of Luna and Mars, Admiral Marcus Stone monitored every aspect of the mission. A grizzled veteran of humanity's wars, Stone trusted aliens about as much as he trusted plasma grenades. His weathered face bore scars from conflicts across the solar system, and his eyes held the hard wisdom of someone who had seen too much death. "Sir, Harmony has reached the rendezvous point," reported his aide, Lieutenant Colonel Maria Santos. Stone nodded grimly. "And our special guest, Leviathan, maintains position at the edge of the system, fully cloaked and ready. The Admiral's jaw tightened. Leviathan was humanity's most closely guarded secret, a dreadnought so advanced that its existence was known only to a select few. Built in the hidden shipyards of the asteroid belt, it represented 20 years of military innovation and paranoid preparation. Stone prayed they would never need it, but he hadn't survived this long by trusting alien promises. Aboard Harmony, the moment of first contact arrived with startling suddenness. Long-range sensors detected the approaching Catherian vessel, and the crew gathered on the bridge with barely contained excitement. The alien ship was beautiful in an otherworldly way, its crystalline hull refracting starlight into rainbow patterns. It was larger than Harmony, but seemed designed for elegance rather than aggression. Incoming transmission, announced Communications Officer Yang. The main screen flickered to life, revealing the first alien face humanity had ever seen. High Counselor Zethkar was tall and graceful, with blue-green skin and large, intelligent eyes. When he spoke, his voice was melodious and measured. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I am honored to represent the Catherian Empire in this historic moment. We welcome you to the galactic community." Ambassador Rodriguez stepped forward, his diplomatic training taking over despite his racing heart. "High Counselor, on behalf of all humanity, we thank you for this opportunity. We come in peace and friendship, hoping to learn from your wisdom and share our own knowledge." The initial exchanges proceeded smoothly. Cultural gifts were exchanged. Through careful airlock procedures, the Cathari presented beautiful crystal sculptures that seemed to sing with harmonic frequencies. Humanity offered works of art, music recordings, and samples of Earth's literature translated into mathematical concepts. For 2 hours, the meeting proceeded exactly as Earth had hoped. Scientists exchanged data on stellar phenomena, historians shared stories of their civilization's development, and philosophers discussed the nature of consciousness and existence. It seemed that the dream of peaceful first contact was becoming reality. Then High Counselor Zethkar's demeanor changed subtly. His melodious voice acquired a harder edge, and his large eyes grew cold. "Now we must discuss more practical matters," he announced. "The Catherian Empire maintains order across this sector of the galaxy. Your species shows promise, but you are young and inexperienced in galactic affairs. You require guidance." Ambassador Rodriguez felt a chill of apprehension. "What kind of guidance do you mean, High Counselor?" "Earth will become a tributary world under Catherian protection. You will provide raw materials, manufactured goods, and technological innovations to the Empire. In return, we will ensure your safety from the more aggressive species that inhabit this region of space." The Bridge of Harmony fell silent. This wasn't an offer of friendship or alliance. It was a demand for subjugation dressed in diplomatic language. "I'm afraid that's not acceptable," Rodriguez replied carefully. "Humanity values its independence. We would prefer a relationship of equals, based on mutual respect and voluntary cooperation." Zethkar's expression grew colder still. "You misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. This is an explanation of how things will be." Captain Chen stepped forward, her hand moving instinctively toward the emergency alert button. "High Counselor, if you're threatening us, we should end this meeting now." "Threatening?" Zethkar laughed, a sound like breaking crystal. "No," Captain Chen, explaining. The space around Harmony suddenly filled with light as massive ships decloaked. 12 Catherian battlecruisers materialized in a perfect sphere around the human vessel, their hulls bristling with weapon emplacements. Each ship was 3 times the size of Harmony, their crystalline armor gleaming with deadly beauty. "You see," Zethkar continued calmly, "your species has no choice in this matter. Surrender now, and your world will be treated with relative kindness. Resist, and Earth will burn." Dr. Park stared at the tactical display in horror. The peaceful first contact scenario had become a nightmare of deception and intimidation. The aliens had never intended to treat humanity as equals. They had lured Earth's representatives into a trap, using humanity's hopes and dreams against them. "You planned this from the beginning," Captain Chen said, her voice tight with controlled anger. "Of course, we have done this 17 times before, with 17 different species. Your reaction is quite typical, actually." Initial shock followed by protests, then grudging acceptance of reality. Ambassador Rodriguez drew himself up to his full height, dignity intact despite the circumstances. "You underestimate humanity if you think we'll submit to slavery." "Slavery is such an ugly word," Zethkar replied. "Think of it as guided evolution. Your species will develop under our direction, becoming useful contributors to galactic civilization." The Catherian battlecruisers began closing their formation, weapon systems powering up with ominous energy signatures. Harmony's sensors screamed warnings as targeting lasers painted her hull. The diplomatic vessel had no shields, no weapons, no way to fight or flee. Captain Chen activated the emergency beacon, sending a desperate message toward Earth. Even if they died here, humanity would at least know the truth about their visitors. "Broadcast this on all frequencies," she ordered her communications officer. "Let every human know what really happened here." But before the transmission could complete, something impossible occurred. The long-range sensors detected a massive hyperspace signature approaching the system. Something was coming. Something. Huge Zethkar frowned as his own sensors registered the anomaly. "What is that energy signature?" The answer came in the form of a ship emerging from hyperspace like a titan awakening from dreams. It was vast beyond belief, dwarfing even the largest Catherian battlecruiser. Its hull was midnight black, absorbing light rather than reflecting. It, and covered in angular armor plates that suggested both incredible strength and lethal purpose. "Unknown vessel," transmitted the lead Catherian commander. "Identify yourself immediately." The response came in perfect Catherian, transmitted with cold precision. "This is the Earth Defense Force, Dreadnought, Leviathan. You have exactly 60 seconds to release the human diplomatic vessel and withdraw from this system." Aboard Harmony, Captain Chen stared at the massive warship in stunned disbelief. She had never heard of any vessel called Leviathan, had never seen anything like its brutal, purposeful design. Where had it come from? How had Earth built something so enormous without anyone knowing? High Counselor Zethkar's composure finally cracked. "Impossible. Our intelligence indicated that Earth possessed no military vessels of significant capability." "Your intelligence," came the cold reply from Leviathan, "was deliberately provided." 30 seconds remaining. Asterisk, the Leviathan awakens the bridge of... Leviathan was a study in controlled violence, every surface designed for war. Captain Rebecca Kane stood at the center of the command deck, her scarred hands resting on the tactical console. She had fought pirates in the asteroid belt, crushed corporate rebellions on Mars, and led boarding actions against hostile stations. But this was different. This was humanity's first interstellar war, and she intended it to be very brief. "Status." "Report," she commanded, her voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to instant obedience. "All weapons systems online and fully charged. reported Weapons Officer Commander Blake Torres. Kinetic batteries loaded with depleted uranium rounds. Particle beam arrays at full power. Nuclear warheads armed and ready. Shields at maximum strength. Added Chief Engineer Lieutenant Commander Rachel Kim. Fusion reactors operating at 98% efficiency. All systems nominal. Kane nodded with grim satisfaction. Leviathan was the culmination of humanity's military engineering, built in secret over 2 decades by the most brilliant minds Earth could produce. Every lesson learned from centuries of human warfare had been incorporated into her design. She was fast, heavily armed, and virtually indestructible. 15 seconds, announced the timer, through the viewports. The Catherian battlecruisers maintained their threatening formation around Harmony. Kane could see their weapon systems charging, preparing to destroy the helpless diplomatic vessel. The aliens had made their choice. Time expired, Kane announced calmly. Open fire. Leviathan's response was immediate and devastating. 16 heavy particle beam turrets swiveled toward their targets and fired simultaneously. Brilliant lances of coherent energy crossed the void at light speed, each beam carrying enough power to level a city. The first 4 Catherian ships simply vanished, their crystalline hulls vaporized in milliseconds. The remaining alien vessels scattered, abandoning their formation as they desperately tried to bring their own weapons to bear. But Leviathan had been designed to fight multiple opponents simultaneously. Point defense lasers tracked incoming missiles and destroyed them before they could arm. Kinetic projectiles, launched at a significant fraction of light speed, punched through crystalline armor like paper. Enemy vessels attempting to target our weak points, reported Torres. Predictable attack patterns. They're used to fighting primitives. Kane allowed herself a thin smile. Show them what human warfare looks like. Leviathan rolled on her axis with surprising grace for such a massive vessel. Her ventral weapons, arrays, came to bear on a cluster of Catherian cruisers, unleashing a barrage of nuclear-tipped torpedoes. The warheads were small by human standards, but their antimatter triggers created fusion reactions that lit space like newborn stars. 3 more alien ships died in the nuclear fire, their hulls cracking, under forces they had never been designed to withstand. The surviving Cathari finally began returning fire, their energy weapons creating beautiful but futile light shows against Leviathan's adaptive shielding. Damage report, Kane requested. Shields down to 97%, Kim replied. Minor fluctuations in the starboard generator. Nothing significant. The one-sided battle continued for exactly 7 minutes. When it ended, 11 Catherian battlecruisers had been reduced to expanding clouds of superheated plasma. Only the flagship remained, its weapons disabled and life support failing. Captain Kane opened a channel to the surviving vessel. "Hi, Counselor Zethkar. I presume you're still alive in there. This is your only warning. Take your ship and leave this system immediately. Spread word throughout the galaxy that Earth is under our protection, and any attempt at aggression will be met with overwhelming force." The response came weak and broken. This is impossible. How did your species develop such technology so quickly? Kane's voice carried the cold finality of absolute victory. We've been preparing for this day since we first looked up at the stars. Humanity doesn't surrender, High Counselor. We fight, and we win. Through the viewports of Harmony, Captain Chen watched the alien flagship limp away at best possible speed. Its crystalline hull scarred and blackened. The diplomatic vessel was safe, but the galaxy had changed forever. Humanity's peaceful debut had become a demonstration of military might that would echo across civilized space. Admiral Stone's voice crackled through the communication system. "Well done, Captain Kane. Bring our people home," as Leviathan began. Powering down from battle stations, the enormity of what had just occurred began to sink in. First contact had not gone as planned, but perhaps it had gone as it needed to. The galaxy now knew that humanity was not a species to be trifled with. Aboard Harmony, Dr. Park was already analyzing the cultural implications. "This changes everything. Word of what happened here will spread. Other species will approach us with respect rather than arrogance." Ambassador Rodriguez nodded thoughtfully. Perhaps this was the only way it could have happened. Predators only understand strength. Captain Chen studied the tactical readouts from Leviathan's brief but decisive battle. How long has Earth been preparing for something like this? Since the day we first detected artificial signals from deep space, came Admiral Stone's reply. "We've been building, training, and preparing for the possibility that first contact might not be friendly. Leviathan is just the first of 12 dreadnoughts, currently under construction." The return journey to Earth was triumphant rather than diplomatic. News of humanity's victory spread ahead of them through quantum communications. By the time Harmony reached Sol System, parades were being planned and military recruitment offices were overwhelmed with volunteers. But the most significant change was in the messages arriving from across the galaxy. Species that had previously ignored Earth's existence suddenly wanted to establish diplomatic relations. The Altarian Republic offered trade agreements on favorable terms. The Nexus Collective invited human observers to their ruling council. Even the ancient builders, mysterious architects of the galaxy's oldest structures, sent a message of greeting and respect. High Counselor Zethkar's flagship reached Catherian space 3 weeks later, bearing news that would shatter his empires. Confidence. The species they had intended to subjugate possessed military technology that surpassed their own by centuries. The simple tributary raid had become a catastrophic defeat that exposed Catherian weakness to the entire galaxy. Within months, the Catherian Empire faced rebellions on 7 worlds as subjected species realized their oppressors were not invincible. The balance of power in the outer spiral arm shifted dramatically as humanity's unexpected strength created new possibilities for freedom and independence. On Earth, President Vasquez addressed the United Nations in a speech that would be remembered for generations. "We reached for the stars with open hands, hoping to find friends among the cosmos. Instead, we found those who would make us slaves. But we have shown the galaxy that humanity will never bow to tyranny. We are not conquerors, but we are not victims either. Let all who would deal with Earth understand this. We offer friendship to those who come in peace, and destruction too. Those who come in war." Captain Rebecca Kane received the Medal of Valor, the first ever awarded for interstellar combat. But she took more pride in a different honor. A handwritten letter from a child on lunar colony, thanking her for keeping Earth free. The letter read, "Dear Captain Kane, my teacher says you saved us from the mean aliens. I want to be like you. When I grow up and protect people too, thank you for being brave." Kane kept that letter in her quarters aboard Leviathan as the great ship patrolled the borders of human space. Other species now approached those borders with respect rather than aggression, and humanity's place in the galactic community was secure. The stars still called to humanity, but now they answered with strength rather than hope alone. First contact had not brought the peace Earth had dreamed of, But it had brought something perhaps more valuable: the respect of the galaxy and the knowledge that humanity would never again face the darkness alone in the depths of space. Leviathan and her sister ships stood eternal watch, guardians of human freedom and guarantors of humanity's right to reach for the stars. The age of human expansion had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.